Uh-oh, we're live. We're here. Richard's writing something down. I said something good. Let's go. I made it. Hi, welcome to the Ramblestream. My name is Jansen. This is Richard. We're here live in Goshen, Indiana. How's the sound, everybody?
I got to turn the sound down on my computer.
Hey, it's working. We can hear it. We can hear it. Dan, what's up? How you doing? Good evening from Blue Ridge, the Blue Ridge Mountains, number 235, sipping on some water. 5'9". Hoping for a glitch-free ramble stream. Well, Jeff, you're asking a lot.
Yes,
You're asking a lot of us.
That's a big demand. Is it really dark?
It seems a little darker than normal. It's more moody. Do you want me to turn the lights up a little bit?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, yeah, I'll be back.
We're gonna dial this in.
Richard will talk to you for a little bit.
We'll get started with the welcome. Welcome to episode 74 of the Ramblestream. It's good to have everybody back. If you're new to the Ramblestream, we just basically hang out. We're getting a little bit more of a program, a little bit more of an agenda for the stream, but the basic idea is that we want to try and have a conversation. That's one of the reasons we've got Jansen climbing underneath the camera right now. Jansen on so we can kind of have a little bit more back and forth between the two of us. And then also the way that you all can participate is through the comments. So we highly encourage you to drop us a comment, engage, and we will do our best to answer your comment, give you a shout out, etc. The first, as you can probably tell from the comments that are already up, the formula that we have is to introduce yourself, where you're viewing from or broadcasting from in our case.
Yes.
What you ramble with. So if it's an interesting vehicle of any type, tell us about it a little bit. And if you ride a motorcycle, tell us, of course, what the model is. And if you ride a special kind of motorcycle, a Janus, that is, tell us the model and the serial number. We'd love to hear that. And if it has a name, give us the name of your rambling Janus. And last but not least, tell us what you're sipping on. So I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Richard here at Janus Motorcycles. And what is the next thing?
What you ramble on.
What I ramble with is a KLR 650 and a Halcyon 250 number 68. I'm sipping on Le Croix Sparkling Lime Naturally Essenced Water.
Le Croix.
But I will wish you all a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. You are wearing green. I'm wearing green.
Actually wearing green accidentally.
It was an accident.
I have a green watch strap on today too.
I think this is the first year I've intentionally worn green.
I didn't, but I'm going to say it is.
Yes, it was intentional. My name is Jansen, also in Goshen here, sipping on a Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA. Delicious. Don't drink these too fast. Go straight to your head. I will soon to be rambling on a Griffin 450, number 5.
Wonderful. Do you have any names in mind for it?
Oh gosh, no, I have 0 names.
Okay, well maybe we can farm it out to the comment section.
We should workshop it live.
Tell us what your idea for Jansen's Griffin 450.
That'd be a fun idea. Keith Haywood, Halcyon 706 in New York. Not sipping tonight. I'm drinking.
Good.
He's drinking. What is that, Richard? Paso Robles Stag Red. My Halcyon came.
Stag Red. Yeah.
My Halcyon came out of the winter perch in my dining room last week. You keep your Halcyon in your dining room. I feel like
on a perch.
That is the only way.
It's like a mythical bird. It lives on a perch.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
I'm understanding. I'm not very quick, guys. You're gonna have to bear with me. Old school. Happy St. Pat's Day from Buffalo, New York. Had my corned beef Saturday. One of the oldest St. Patrick Day parades in the U.S.
Good to see old school.
994. Pizza Monday. Isn't it usually Pizza Friday?
I told everybody I was going to bring pizza today for St. Patrick's Day. We did a staff lunch, and everybody brought a St. Patrick's, an Irish themed. I did not bring pizza, but
I was about to say, is pizza Irish? I think I'm misinformed there.
was really good. We had some amazing dishes.
Dish it out for us. What were some
we
of
had, we had corned beef and cabbage.
Nice.
We had probably the most interesting was Hannah brought corned beef and cabbage egg rolls that she deep fried out front.
Wow.
It was kind of different.
We're doing it live.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was very good.
That
Very
sounds.
good. Jonah brought a really good bread pudding.
Nice.
And Mitch won it for me with
Shocker.
soda bread.
You know, with a name, with
He
a
also
name like,
organized the event. So
with a name like McLean,
yeah, exactly.
you'd think that he would have some amazing Irish dishes.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah, let's go a couple more comments.
Yeah, brain fog. Johnny from Mississippi, Halcyon 450 296. Absolutely love the bike y'all built for me. Having the time of my life. Sipping some sweet tea. Is it?
So
sweet?
we're all gonna work together here, and we're gonna see if Jansen cannot hold the mic.
I
and move it around
like
the whole time.
I like want to scoot up and scoot back with it. I just like need to hold something. I need something to fixate on, I guess. I don't know, man. I thought you were gonna say, we'll see how many grammatical errors Jansen makes, or how many speech errors Jansen makes.
We both do that.
Hi, Grant. That's it. Hi, Grant. How you doing?
So contrarian, Richard. Oh, okay.
Riggedy Alps. Good evening, everyone. Cheyenne's photos on the Covered Bridge Facebook page are approaching 1,300.
Yeah, well done. And thanks for the coverage. Thanks for the press.
The coverage on the Covered Bridge. I'm firing on all cylinders today, Richard. You know, firing on all cylinders.
Well, we got. What does the little banner down below say?
That's just a little banner that says, "Hey, if you're new to the Ramblestream."
Oh, I don't even have to talk.
No, you don't have to say it anymore. I should probably take it down. It has been up for a while. What's up, Lo-Fi? Halcyon 250 1131 Mutt in Southwest Michigan, sipping on some water tonight. Love that. Love that. What do we got on the docket today, Richard? I think it'd be fun to kind of go down the...
Go over the agenda a little bit?
Go over the agenda.
Yeah, so tonight we have a great program for you. We're going to be talking... Well, we're going to read a poem first, and I figured we would go back to a good Irish poet, Mr. Seamus Heaney, and we'll be reading Digging, which is a good one, about potatoes.
Of course.
And then next up, we have some announcements, just things that are going on. We have builds of the week. And then for the Things of This World section, we're going to talk about one of my favorite motorcycles of all time, the MV Agusta 750S America, which is something that's inspired some of our models, and maybe they may no longer be in production, but it's a very, very inspirational bike. And I think you all will really appreciate it. We'll do a little history, a little bit of just looking at the design, and then with some news and events and comments, finally we're going to ramble about the design kind of process here at Janus. And it's really going to be a ramble because we haven't prepared at all. We're just going to talk.
A true ramble, a true form of what rambling looks like.
Yeah. So
it's going to be a good show. Super excited.
Why don't we dig into the poem?
Absolutely.
Okay. So as I said, this is Seamus Heaney's Digging. I got to hear Seamus Heaney read some of his poems. It was Seamus Heaney, when I was in undergrad.
That's
really
cool.
Neat. Yep. Digging by Seamus Heaney. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests, snug as a gun. Under my window, a clean, rasping sound when the spade sinks into gravelly ground. My father, digging. I look down till his straining rump among the flower beds bends low, comes up 20 years away, stooping in rhythm through potato drills where he is digging. The coarse boot nestles on the lug. The shaft against the inside knee was levered firmly. He rooted out tall tops, buried the bright edge deep to scatter new potatoes that we picked, loving their cool hardness in our hands. By God, the old man could handle a spade, just like his old man. My grandfather cut more turf in a day than any other man on Toner's bog. Once I carried him milk in a bottle, corked sloppily with paper, He straightened up to drink it, then fell to right away, nicking and slicing neatly, heaving sods over his shoulder, going down and down for the good turf, digging. The cold smell of potato mold, the squelch and slap of soggy peat, the curt cuts of an edge through the living roots awaken in my head. But I have no spade to follow men like them. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests. I'll dig with it.
There it is.
Our poem.
Happy St. Patty's Day,
Happy
everybody.
St. Patrick's Day.
Robert Bosco says, hi, guys. Happy St. Patty's Day. Please give a shout out to Jamie for me. She's the best, and I hope she feels better soon. Enjoying my iron goddess.
Yeah.
What's up, Robert?
Jamie's out sick today.
Oh, man. That's never fun. Moving on to builds of the week here. Eventually, this will be so fast. Let's do some of that. And then we're going to go here. Now, this one, Richard,
What about it?
I've never seen a frame like this.
Oh, is this
So this is Michael Halcyon 450. Mickey?
I think he goes by Mickey.
Mickey. Okay.
Yep.
Halcyon 450. It is number what? What are we on here?
369.
321.
Oh,
It's going to Michigan.
Yep. That's Mickey.
Okay.
So this let me talk about a little bit of this.
Yeah,
powder.
yeah,
So this gentleman he's all about paint.
Just a paint guy.
He's actually sent out his tins to get automotive painted on his own dime.
That's pretty cool.
And then he had us do all kinds of crazy stuff with his pinstripe and his paint. And powder coat is actually like a crinkle finish. So it's actually textured. It's like, it kind of reminds me of like I don't know if you remember like cameras in the 60s and 70s, that kind of crinkle.
It's like that grit, like the grippy kind. Yeah.
Yep. Probably more of a show bike than something you're going to ride, because I cannot imagine washing it.
Gosh, no. It'd be terrible.
But it's going to be a really interesting look, and we're looking forward to seeing it.
Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any pictures of the tank or the fenders or anything.
They're supposed to come back like
Soon?
today or tomorrow.
So your guys are getting a sneak peek. I was browsing through the bikes and I saw this and it's like we have to show this real quick. We'll probably show you guys a finished product here, but look.
Yeah, look at that powder.
Ooh, that seems like a mischievous shot.
Different. He put his own. He wanted his own grips on it too.
See, I like the cross stitch. I think that's cool. Like that's bizarre. Does it have a bigger thickness? Like, is it thicker than?
I'm not sure what it's within the tolerance of powder coat, but yeah, it does appear.
It does look thicker. It looks like skateboard grip tape. In like the best kind of way. That's pretty cool. That's
very
a good
matte
shot.
finish.
Yeah, very, very matte. Especially with the contrast of the oil tank and the rear shocks there. What a good looking frame. Wonder who designed that. Next, we are going to David here. David with Halcyon 450, number 369. This one's going to New Jersey.
Get some good pictures.
Where do we want to go here? We want to start probably
There we go.
here.
So we got a vintage red Halcyon 450, not frame matched, double pinstripe. It looks like in gold feather logo, which has not been finished. Saddle brown leather. Just a very,
No wheels.
very good looking classic. The first production Janus 50
What's that color?
those colors.
That's cool.
With the gold.
That's cool. Classic look. And then our last one here. This one, it caught my eye when I was looking again. Holy.
Oh yeah, this is quite the
This
all blue.
This is blue.
There's another all blue one coming through that we should get a picture of for
Okay.
next week. It's all Charlevoix blue, but it has skirted fenders. But this is all classic.
I think we looked at that one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Mhm,
okay.
mhm.
But it's getting more blue. Anyway,
Gosh, that is
look at
so
that.
blue.
Fantastic.
The frame matching is one of my favorite features, I think. Gosh, it is with that gold pinstripe too. It looks so good. Good grief. That's a nice looking bike.
So that one, we're looking at single pinstripe in gold, polished engine fins on this is a 250 Halcyon, obviously. We've got a polished stainless steel exhaust. We have powder matched handlebars with the powder matched chassis. Black leather.
I would have gone brown.
Brown would look pretty good with it too. The saddle brown.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Do we offer a top plate match?
No, that does not come with this. The color matched.
Yeah. Maybe next time. Who knows? That is builds of the week.
Those are our featured builds of the week.
Our featured builds of the week, yes. Some good looking motorcycles. That last one was an inventory bike. I'm not sure if it's on the website yet or if it will be or if it's already sold. I'm not sure, but there's a chance that it could be yours. Some beautiful looking bikes.
Okay. Well, next up we have things of this world.
Yes.
We're titling it, and we're going to talk. Did I share that album with you?
You did. I haven't even pulled it up yet, though.
So I put together a little classic Ramblestream style slideshow, but we'll talk a little bit about the about MV Agusta. MV Agusta is, I mean, they've really do have a name in motorcycling as one of the most iconic brands of all time. They were founded in beginning like the first month of 1945. So the owner, Count Domenico Agusta, sounds like an amazing character. His family, his father founded an aircraft company in the early 1920s. I think he was really captivated by the success of airplanes in the First World War, and there was a lot of excitement around them at that point. And so he started making aircraft manufacturing of all types. However, in 1945, the Italians were no longer permitted to manufacture airplanes.
Awkward.
Following the Second World War and their role in as an Axis power. And so they quickly pivoted.
Good for them.
The son, Domenico, and his brothers decided he was really interested in motorcycles and motorcycle racing, particularly.
Nice.
And so they pivoted to making motorcycles. And there's all kinds of stories about the first bikes where they kind of had to buy all these parts on the black market to get them into post-war Italy.
It's like moonshining, but
yeah,
for racing motorcycles.
Yeah. So they started off with this, and this is it's a 98cc two-stroke, of course.
Of course.
And I mean, kind of looks like Halcyon 50 if you look at it.
It kind of does. It does harken back.
And they had a lot of success. They had I think there were two models. One was a more sporty one, and the other one was a more kind of grand touring, as you can imagine, like on a
grand touring
100cc bike. But everything was 100 cc's or less. Ducati was founded in around this time as well, and they were making small displacement two strokes.
You know, it'd be a fun segment for things of this world. A segment within a segment. Just a little bit of motorcycle history.
A little bit of motorcycle history.
Yeah, going down like the Ducati.
Ducati. We're kind of doing it.
Yeah,
I think we could do Ducati and a great Ducati model.
Absolutely.
Next, we'll keep it to one thing. But anyway, this is the background on the one thing we're talking about. The name MV stands for like Meccanica Vergari, which is just basically the name of the town, mechanics of this little town, which is basically where the modern Milan airport is. So they're right outside of Milan, and they very quickly. I guess he was able to, right around this period, well, they started racing them. Let's just say that.
How could you not, though, honestly?
And in small races, and gradually started getting more and more success with them, and started making larger bikes. So they started going about, probably by 1950, 100cc was just not competitive. So they started making 125s, and they went up all the way to 350s, and had. Go to the next slide. I think.
I don't know why it's not. There we
go. There's one of the 98 cc's racing in Italy.
He is just absolutely bearing down.
Yep. Go to the next slide. So this is a kind of a fun shot because we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. This is the new MV Agustas Super Veloce, which Jansen was telling me.
This
I mean, I agree.
this is one of the best looking motorcycles in the entire industry.
It's pretty nice. They really did a fantastic job. So anyway, we'll talk about. We're getting ahead of ourselves. This is a fun because the one that they did here is a special edition honoring the 98cc original bike.
Gosh, that's cool. It's a good looking bike.
So here, this is a 350. These started being really competitive in racing. These and their 500s were raced by famous names that you might recognize: John Surtees, Mike Halewood, Giacomo Agostini. These great names from like the iconic era of Grand Prize racing.
What does that mean about me if I don't know any of those names?
Well, you can learn about them. John Surtees is famous because he was a racer who raced both international races in motorcycles and cars.
And cars.
And he invented putting your knee down.
Whoa. Okay. That's a guy that's very serious.
Yeah. Very early.
Multifarious says the 98cc is the best looking out of those bikes. I mean,
they're both good looking.
We can agree to disagree. It's okay.
Okay.
The Glenn Curtis Museum and Hammond Sport, New York is good for motorbike history.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
I'm gonna hop over there. You want to go to the next one?
Go to the next slide. Here's another. This is a scrambler. Check it out.
That's
High
cool.
pipe. I did not list this in my little talk on scramblers, but MV Agustas. Actually, you know what? I did talk about the MV, but that's a classic scrambler. I think that one probably looks like 175cc or something like that.
That's a good looking bike too.
Mm-hmm. Keep on going.
Ooh.
So there is Mr. Surtees himself on a 500cc bike. So
that thing looks
let's
cool.
talk a little bit about the 500. The 500 and the 600 were developed in the early 60s. Count Domenico Agusta he's poached 2 engineers from Gilera, which was another famous Italian racing brand.
Okay.
I think if you go to the next slide, we might have a picture of a Gilera. There's Surtees again. That's a dustbin fairing. If you're familiar, they're incredible. They allowed them to go much faster. However, they were very dangerous in crosswind, and they actually had a lot of accidents. So they banned them from racing. This is a 125. We're getting to what I'm talking about. This is a 125, and what you're going to notice is as we talk about the bike, the America 750 looks a lot like this. So they really were very consistent across their design language. Let's keep going. So here's a 350, a race one. I mean, I don't know if you can get much better looking.
Whole fairing. I think that's what it is for me. Is the fairing, and then
perfect,
and then even the continuation into the seat cowl,
the black Italian exhaust,
dude.
Yep.
That's a good looking bike.
So they somewhere in here we had some. We'll get to the Gileras, but basically the thing about Count Agusta was that he was very much like Enzo Ferrari in the sense that he was very, very passionate about racing. And shortly, I think in the 50s, I'm not sure on the exact timeline, but he was able to get a contract with Bell Helicopters and get back into aeronautics, and he made a fortune with the aeronautic side of the business. And so he was able to set apart his motorcycle passion and business for racing.
That's the
like
fun
Ferrari.
side.
So
Yeah.
Ferrari was not about making cars for the road. He just that funded his racing.
Wasn't
operation.
there there's a class, right? Is there a same class in motorcycling where you have to create a certain amount of production?
Yes. Like
road?
to be homologized. Homologized. So basically I'm not sure if it's true. Depending on who you read, he may have intentionally designed all of his road going bikes to never be competition ready. So he made them, they were shaft drive. So this engine that he got, that these guys from Gilera designed, and you'll recognize it looks like a Gilera engine. They kind of had to redesign some things, and some people say that they put the shaft drive on to differentiate it from Gilera. Other people say that it was really the Count's way of preventing privateers from racing with his bikes. But this is a 600cc 4-cylinder. So this is the first 4-cylinder they made, and it was, as you can see, not the prettiest motorcycle of all time.
Yeah, compared to the last few we just saw, this is definitely bottom.
It didn't really win any awards for its looks, but it was kind of a heavy and slow.
Yeah.
But this is the prototype for the 750.
Isn't it interesting how you look at a bike and you think that's heavy and slow? Like you could just look at it and be like, that's heavy and slow. That's heavy and slow.
So here's the Gilera.
See, that looks fast.
That's a fast bike too. That's a 500 Gilera 4-cylinder. So you can see this is the motor that they kind of redesigned. Kind of poached the enginerring from.
Uh-huh. Wait, what was the? I'm assuming there's some aerodynamic benefit of
your elbows go down in that fairing, and so if you're tucked in, it's I think they're actually fairly well. I love the little windscreen on it.
Yeah,
you'll see a lot of fairings like that in that era, 50s era.
Huh?
Big old double leading shoe drum brake.
Huge.
Yep. So this is the 750 Sport that they came out with, and in this image we can't see it, but it has a shaft drive. I forget the actual horsepower on these. 65 horsepower. I want to say.
That's terrifying.
It was a big old honking motor, 8,500 RPM rev limit, red line,
on drum brakes.
And the drum brakes the period reviews said they were good, but no one now says they were any good at all.
There's no way. There's no way.
But this bike retailed for like $6,000 in 1970, which is like $50,000 now.
Oh.
So this was, I mean, a Harley Davidson would have been about $2,000.
Yeah.
Bonneville Triumph about $1,500, $1,400 to $1,500. So this was way expensive for the period.
Yeah.
But look at the styling on this thing. Very limited numbers. I want to say they made less than 300 of these total.
Wow.
Over the years, and every engine was hand assembled and hand fitted. So it wouldn't go together with other. They had to hand fit each one to each part.
Wow.
So extremely limited production, and really, I think there was just no interest on the part of the Count to really produce these.
Well, right. You can tell by his price point. He's like, I just want to price people out of this by all means necessary. Grant says the sweeping exhaust. Yeah, that's the one thing I noticed.
These are nice, but the 750 Americas are even better.
I don't think I like it.
They're still so Italian.
They seem polarizing for sure. I like a high exit, like behind the seat exhaust.
Oh yeah, well that was they didn't do those in that era. So there's the shaft drive on the 750 Super Sport, and there's another shot of it. I mean, just an incredibly beautiful motorcycle.
That looks terrifying.
About 530 something pounds, I think, so fairly heavy,
right?
But with I think I'm writing about 65 horsepower. It's a 5-speed transmission, which was on the right side, so on our brake side, and it was 1 up, 4 down.
Kind of like MotoGP.
Kind of like MotoGP. I wonder if that's maybe why the Ducatis and MVs and Gileras.
Huh.
There you go. All gear-driven primary drive. So really, it whines.
Yeah,
the gears whine.
That gearbox is crazy.
And that big old sump down there in the bottom. See that?
Yeah.
That fin, some sandcast, beautiful sandcast engine. Just incredible.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Look at that.
Oh. Man, this entire podcast is just going to be us making weird noises at a screen. This entire show. That's a great shot too.
This is a rare one in black. That was. There's a story on this one. I think I have a link below if you're on YouTube. Go down and I've got a link on this.
Richard, did you notice they put a center stand on most of their motorcycles?
And actually it was famous because it didn't work. It ground on the ground. Look at that. Look at that.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good looking motorcycle.
So okay, here we are. This is it. This is
This is when it starts.
This is my desktop right now. It has been for a couple of months now. So this is the MV Agusta S750 America. and there's not when Italy and America get together, great things happen. I mean, really, like the Ferrari Super America, the Moto Guzzi Eldorado.
Yeah,
they're all just like, it's just like spaghetti Western. It's amazing. So, I mean, for me, this is one of the most beautiful motorcycles ever made.
Wow.
I think, and I think it's agreed. I mean, it's pretty much one of the most iconic bikes of all time.
Yeah.
I just love the way the side cover carries down under the seat over the airbox. But you can tell these beautiful black Italian exhausts kicking up on the side, 2 on each side. And this one, actually, this must be, I think this is a late or mid to late 70s.
I was about to ask what year.
It has disc brakes, which, so I guess a little bit more history on this.
Yeah.
In 1970 or beginning of 71, the Count Agusta died. And so his brother took over the business. Not a whole lot changed. They were really, really focusing on racing at this point. They were doing really, really well. They kept on racing, but this kind of embargo on producing road bikes wasn't there anymore. So they really tried to make, and they were also not necessarily doing as well anymore financially. Mm-hmm. So they pushed more into the road going bikes. The Count was famous for also only liking drum brakes. So he wouldn't put disc brakes on the bikes. He thought they had more feel.
Newfangled technology.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he sounds like somebody I would really get along with.
What happens, Richard, if you just start calling yourself Count Richard? I mean, would anybody...
Maybe if I lived in a place where that was recognized. Now, these exhausts, what do you think about those?
Okay, I really like those. I like how the sweeping ones, it takes too much of my eye away from... And maybe it was just the color. Maybe the chrome took my eye off of the bike itself, but
the black exhausts are just absolutely incredible. And then this has the classic MV Agustas silver and red fairing, which is just very, very, very iconic. I love this the little seat with the flare at the back, but then it has front and rear fenders. It's like
that's cool. Gosh,
definitely when we looked at this bike when we were designing the Phoenix.
Too much plastic, Hydro said.
Well, there is a plastic fairing, but and the seat is plastic as well. Yeah, I guess there's a good bit of plastic on there.
There's a lot of plastic, but I just love that front fairing. Like I think I'm just a sucker for fully faired bikes.
So we're gonna end with this is the new MV Agusta. So yeah, the new MV Agusta. The company went through a lot of hardships, as motorcycle companies tend to do. They were really kind of ceased production in the 80s. I think I want to say the 80s, and even through the 90s when they were purchased as part of the whole Italian conglomerate. There was Cagiva, Bimoda, MV Agusta, Gilera, and Ducati, and MV. And so when they went to develop a lot of the story of when the kind of restart of MV 20, 30 years ago was a lot of like Fabio Taglioni from Ducati helped with the development of some of their, they had to go in and get help from in Bologna from the Ducati people.
In Bologna.
And, but anyway, they've really gotten back, I think, to just making their mark as this sort of high-end, ridiculous, flashy Italian motorcycle brand that just screams. I mean, you look at some of their other models with they have these exhausts that fan up the side. You probably wouldn't like them.
I don't like. I know what you're talking about. I don't like that, but I love the rear tail exhaust. Yeah. Oh,
but anyway, and I think as far as like we were talking about last week with design that successfully combines the beauty of what a motorcycle has looked like, and it continues that trajectory of trying to narrow in on what's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. The MV, especially this one, the Super Veloce, does a really, really incredible job. And I think I'm just a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
For a new motorcycle, it's like state of the art motorcycle. I mean, if you talk to like motorcycle, like racing technically, this is not as state of the art as a Panigale.
Right.
It's still in this realm of very small, limited production manufacturing, and it's got quirks. Let's just say that.
But isn't that kind of why you buy something like that, right? Like because you want it to kind of feel like something.
Yeah. So anyway, below this video, I've got some links. One is to Jay Leno has one. He one of the Americas, and he rides it, and you get to hear it. And so I encourage y'all. It's a short video. Check it out. I mean, it's Jay Leno. It's really good. And then also a story with some text by Ian Falloon, who's a really famous. I have a lot of his books on my shelf. Motorcycle historian, and so it goes into a lot of detail if you're interested to learn more about the bike. So anyway, that's our thing that we talked about.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Good grief. Robert Bosco asks, Richard, do you remember the name Emmett Moore, one of the founding members of the Antique Motorcycle Club of America? He mentioned me on the rebuild of my 1934 Harley Davidson VL.
VL, nice.
That's cool.
Wonderful.
Too much plastic.
Too much plastic.
What if?
Fair enough.
What if it's carbon fiber? Does that make a difference, or is that still plastic? I'm genuinely asking. Refrimoto says it's the Italian version of a Janus. No production, premium production, some quirks. Come on.
Yeah.
Jeff says, sorry for missing the first 35 minutes. I was playing drums. And his picture is him playing drums, I'm pretty sure. Jeff, don't have to apologize for being late. We're glad you're here. What are you rambling on?
Just here, so.
Right. What are you drinking? What are you sipping on? No, it doesn't matter. That's fair. He says that carbon fiber, it's still plastic.
Okay.
Plastic disappears with time. It does.
Metal disappears too, but slower.
It's way slower. way slower.
Well, keep the comments coming. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the MV. But we're going to talk about some comments we've gotten through what we're going to do. So the new thing, we've been talking about this. Do you have any negative ones?
I have some negative ones.
Good. So we're going to go through some, are these from Facebook and YouTube?
Yeah, they're mostly from Facebook.
Facebook's where we get all the good comments anyway.
All the crazy ones.
We're going to feature some comments. They're not all going to be bad, or are they all going to be bad?
They're not all going to be bad. Some of them are going to be good. Some of them are going to be bad.
The bad ones are the ones that we share with each other and we love.
Yes. To be specific, I've got two good, two bad.
Okay, great.
So the first one is from Bruce. He says, those make great bikes for places for quaint rural areas, but not useful in metro and U.S. highways. And I thought that was interesting because my response was, why would you want to ride on a highway anyway?
Well, maybe you need to get somewhere. You need to get to Sturgis.
Just don't go to Sturgis, right?
You're alienating our viewership. Some of them have Harleys, Jansen.
Hey, ride your Harley, but don't ride it on the highway.
That's a good point. I mean, the only thing I would disagree with is not useful in metro. Like, they're perfect for cities.
Yeah. We just saw
commuting.
Jordan ride Alcyon 450 through Chicago.
Yeah. And
granted, it was 3 a.m.
The goal with the 450 is to create a bike. Actually, it was after the Jay Leno video that we, his comments on riding the 250 about the suspension and about being able to hop on the interstate. Like, if you live in Los Angeles, you kind of do need to be able to get on the highway. Otherwise, it's getting from one place to another will just it takes you forever anyway.
Right.
But and so that was one of the reasons that it served as a really good excuse for us to say, let's do it. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's cool. And next one is from a gentleman named Buddy.
We get this comment all the time.
He just says China Motors and then a poop emoji. My personal favorite. I love that. Now on to a couple nice ones. He says, very niche. Play to the niche. Everyone's got an opinion. I had my say. Thanks. He was talking about how he wished that the tank looked different. I just think it's really interesting that people are so willing to share literally whatever's on their mind on these random Facebook posts that people really don't know who's on the other side, but they're just like spewing, telling their opinion. We do listen. And I am the one reading all those comments, and I know some of the people on the team are too. So you might get a response here or there. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that people are willing to just state their opinion. I think it's kind of cool, right? To just kind of put it out there and hopefully incite some conversation.
I was just today actually going through old YouTube videos.
Oh yeah.
And so I usually, when the video comes out, I'll follow the comments for a while, but you just have so much going on that you don't get to, I'm not on there like constantly like, oh, somebody else commented on this video.
Right.
But then going back through and seeing some of the ones that had come over the last couple of years on some of our more popular videos.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I actually went back and looked at the Yami Noob video.
Oh yeah.
And like,
People-
like if I was gonna like put a ratio of like positive to negative comments, it's like 98% like
Yeah, dude.
super positive about Janus.
The what do we call our Janus riders? They came out in droves for that video and really just like we're commenting and saying like these bikes are great. And even people who don't own a Janus, like they were talking about like, hey, how can you dog them? Like they're just a small American company like trying to make motorcycles. Like how do you dog somebody like that?
Yeah. But no, I do really enjoy reading the comments and I'm going to try and do more in terms of getting back on and responding.
Yeah. You can ride a Janus on the highway, but who wants to buddy up with some huge truck that will pancake you without noticing? Ain't that the truth?
It doesn't matter if you're on a Harley Davidson or on a Janus.
Nope.
If it's a semi.
All pancakes look the same after a semi accident, honestly. Russell says, have a Benelli Quattro on the bench.
Ooh.
Has double shoe brakes in the front, 1974.
Nice.
That's cool.
Very nice. I was actually I think maybe I mentioned this last time, but we went down and we didn't ride, but we tested out some of the new Marinis, which are similar to the new Benelli. I think they are manufactured in China, but they're using at least they call them the 6.5. They always the old Marini. One of our first employee had a 3.5,
Okay.
which is a 350 V twin.
Whoa.
Really, really neat. They're actually making it again.
That's cool.
The Tre Mezzo, 3.5. But then the same Sei Mezzo is the 6.5, 650, is actually the same engine that was in the Kawasaki Versys.
Huh.
And I think it's manufactured. Kawasaki was actually outsourcing that engine to China all along.
That's pretty cool.
And so it's a neat 650.
That's a cool naming scheme, too. I like that naming scheme.
Yeah, isn't it neat?
Rady Alps says, Road Cheyenne, Housey on 450, number 234 on Interstate 86 and 88 through New York to get back from the owner's rally without any issues. You love to hear it. Love to hear it. I'm sorry you had to do that, but you know. Last comment here. This is a comment on the video of Jordan riding through Chicago. Fabulous road. What dreams are made of. Keep riding and be safe. Come on.
That's a good one.
Love that. Love that. Now we're on to our ramble.
We're on a ramble. Yeah, we barely have any time, but
We've got a few minutes here to ramble. And we might go into Ramblestream after hours. Who knows?
So our topic is the Janus design process. Interesting word.
Process, air quotes.
Yeah. So I think, how do you want to dig into this?
Yeah. Well, I think stemming from last week's conversation around just this idea that intentional design takes intentionality, as dumb as that kind of sounds. Or design that speaks to someone or to something requires intentionality. And I think Janus motorcycles speak that language. So what do you
mean by intentionality?
You can tell when things are designed to not just accomplish a purpose, but to we kind of talked about the things, right? To pull you into its world a little bit. I'm trying to articulate.
What about, I don't know if this is going to make YouTube, but we had a really neat thing that you caught on camera. Neil and I were talking on Friday.
Oh, Richard, it's been cut up already.
Okay. I don't want to spoil. We're going to have another video here coming out, but Jansen came in to film me talking about, what was I talking about? You had me talking about retro. And then Neil chimed in from across the design studio, and I was like, Jansen, get this on film. So all of a sudden we kind of were going back and forth, and he was talking about just the difference between like his bike, which he loves, the Kawasaki Versys, we were just talking about, but just the difference between a bike like that and a motorcycle that, like a Janus, or like some of these older bikes. And we were kind of talking about how you could describe it as the passion that goes into it. It's not so much about profit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because when you create like Kawasaki, the most efficient way to design something, right, is the quickest way. And the quickest way from point A to point B is the most profitable way to design something. And it seems like you and Janus Motorcycles have done a way of circumventing that. And you are designing objects, things that kind of don't make sense for a modern world. Right? And
It's a very high compliment. Thank you.
And not even just the design process, but
The finished product.
It's the finished product, and from design all the way to creation.
How you make it. Yeah.
Right. We're making these one at a time. One builder makes one at a time.
Yep.
Assembling them here in America, a majority of our manufacturing happens within a 20-mile radius of us. Like, that doesn't make sense.
By a strange religious sect using generators that are off the grid.
That don't really hardly use cell phones. You have to fax them. Like weird stuff. But that's what makes it so cool. Like, I feel like they kind of tell that story when you look at them.
So to get back to that, like the reason we were talking about that in the context of retro is that, and the reason I think this is important to talk about in terms of our design process is that I think that way of designing and making things was pretty universal in a previous era. And so, I mean, I kind of balk at the term, like, things just used to be made better.
Yeah, back in the day.
What, are you sure you just don't remember it that way?
Right. You got those rose-colored glasses on.
Exactly. But I think what people, when they're saying that, are mean is that, especially today, like maybe more so than in any other period in history, within living memory, we do actually know, we can remember when more things, at least, maybe not the way it was 100 years ago or 300 years ago, but the whole mentality that went into something was a little bit different. It wasn't quite so just absolutely geared toward, everybody had to make a living and everybody wanted to eke as much profit out as they could, but the entire process has become so efficient and so profit driven that the end product for the user really is secondary to, and even the mission of the company is secondary to the real mission of the company, which is make as much money as possible.
Buckets of money.
Right. And so I think I can't really, maybe we'll have to think about it more. Or we can talk it through a little bit, how we've been able to kind of, whether it's stupidity or to circumvent that.
I think it's a desire to make cool things that matter. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's, I don't know about you, Richard, but I don't want to retire. Mm-hmm. I want to keep doing the things I love until I physically can't do them anymore. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we've been told this lie that all we have to do in life is to just go get through life so we can live it on the other side.
What do they call it? We call it the big bike lie, but there's also the retirement lie or the vacation lie too. Yeah. Where it's just expected that we need to take this 2 weeks in the middle of the year when we end up spending a ton of money going somewhere really far away and where we have to spend even more money and everything is really super stressful. Yeah. This is hyperbolic, right? But you know, when that was never something that people in previous eras did. Right. It was, and the same thing with like retirement is this idea that there's nothing wrong with retirement. And people obviously would go on journeys to other places throughout history. And they would, at a certain point in their life, they would lay their work aside.
Their sword, they would lay their sword down. Right. They cannot go into war anymore.
But their entire existence wasn't focused on this need for driven toward retirement. Right. Because the purpose was in the thing, or in their vocation or their calling. Right. And we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but like to apply that to
like there's a chain somewhere in there,
a motorcycle or a thing. Let's just say things that we make as human beings, whether it's buildings or motorcycles or plows or swords or whatever else things we're making. There's a pride in that thing, and that comes first. Yeah. When in a beautiful thing that we love. Yeah. And that's how you can tell. And for a long time I've thought that there actually may be an aura to something. Like if something's made on a machine, like just pumped out. Yeah. and the same thing is made by somebody, a craftsman who's spent their entire life perfecting it. Those two things, because the processes are so good today, it could be they could be identical,
Right.
but one of them carries more, it has more intrinsic value.
Yeah. Just
and
because
you might even be able to tell.
Right. I was about to say, I don't think you would even need to know the process behind either of those items to be able to look at them and hold them and be able to tell the difference.
And it's not just that one maybe has more quirks, as we say, or imperfections.
But it's a sign,
something else.
A sign of trial, a sign of like time spent, right? Like, and I think that's what Janus echoes. Is like, this has been a trial. This has been a test. This has been not easy, but we enjoy doing it so much. And through this, I don't know, this, what do you call this tempering, right? This is what a Janus is because of that tempering almost.
Let's talk a little bit more about the actual process.
Yeah.
Maybe another thing that would typify an object that is timeless and that you would consider passing on to your grandchildren is that it participates in some sort of greater cycle of some sort of tradition or something that's maybe the very essence of knowing how to do that thing is something that's inherited. Yeah. Now, I am not the son of a motorcycle designer or no one
cobbler.
Yeah, or no one I don't know how to say no one. Most of our employees come from a wide range of backgrounds that they've learned this. And so that's not where I'm going with this. Rather, I'm saying that the way that we approach it, when we look at a new design, for instance, the first thing we do, like one of the questions that you asked is like, well, what's the first thing you do when you sit down to design something? First thing I do is I look to the past.
Yeah.
And you look at what in architecture we call precedents. And so a precedent would be something that's like a very loose definition would be a model or an example that can serve to inform the future or the present. And so like if we're designing, when I was designing the Phoenix,
RIP.
250.
May it rest in peace.
May it rise from the ashes.
May it rise from the ashes.
The first thing I do is look at the greatest examples of a sporty cafe Grand Prix style motorcycle. Yeah. And obviously we were not targeting high performance.
Right.
We were targeting the sensation of low drop bars. And like I think Grant described the Phoenix as like you're riding a bottle rocket.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's like,
that's a great way to put it.
Like the Halcyon, we talk about how it's a very immediate sensation, but you're still like sitting back and you have maybe you have a windscreen and you're putzing along.
Super comfy.
With the Phoenix, like you're so stretched out over the tank, all you see is the speedometer, and maybe the front tire, and you're just like,
and it's crazy how that riding position changes your mentality of how you ride that motorcycle.
Yeah.
Because I know like when I would ride a Phoenix, I'd want to just goose it the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time.
So, and then right down to the way that we try and we really enjoy the process of making them. So I think, we're kind of getting back, we're getting back to like the idea of rambling. A rambler is someone who's not on a trajectory for retirement. Now, that doesn't mean that retirement isn't something that we do. Like Gary, I'm sure is very happy in his retirement now.
Yeah, he just said, let me see if I can pull up the comment. He's like, I retired so I can ride more. Like, yeah, absolutely. Right, so you can collect more watches.
But the point I'm making is that like for a rambler, the point of their existence is not to retire.
Yeah.
Maybe they've done what they wanted to do, and now it's time to put that aside or move on to something else or have more time for something else.
Right.
But same thing I think with Janus is we're trying to not just make as many or as expensive or whatever as we can, but to make them as, obviously we want to make them well made and beautiful, but also to live the experience of making them.
Well, yeah, I think those two adjectives of like being well made and ride well, like I think they come with when your intention is to enjoy making them.
So wrap that around to intention. What do you mean by that? I'm curious.
I'm trying to like articulate it live. I think there's purposefulness. I think that's just another word for intention, right?
Yeah.
I think there is when you look at little details.
Because you can be very intentional about making a lot of money.
Right. When you look at I think the intention is in the design of is in the enjoyment of the process of making the motorcycle, and not in the after, like it's the classic, like enjoy the road you're on, not the destination. Right. Like I think that intentionality is focused more on the actual process itself rather than where it's going or what it can provide or what the after effect is. I think it's more of like, I'm gonna really like sit here and I'm going to design and draw something that I would want to ride and that I think other people would want to ride as well. And if on the back end, yeah, we want to sell motorcycles, right?
Well, no, of course. I mean, that's having a motorcycle, business. I mean, of course, that's where you get your kicks. Is making, for me at least, it's not just making one, it's making more and gradually making them better and better and better and better. But yeah, once again, we get it's 7:56 and we are really no clearer on what we're talking about than before, but it's been a lovely conversation.
This is more of like, what is Janus's design ethos rather than design process?
Well, maybe we can talk. I want to live up to the thumbnail, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The process is to start with precedents, really, and then to try and find within those precedents the common thread of and I use this word a lot, but distill. I love it because you're taking all the, like if you're talking about whiskey and you're distilling whiskey, you're boiling off all the water and you're retaining the pungent alcohols and all the different flavors that make that whiskey in this strange description, but you're trying to dig down to uncover what it is about that thing that you're trying to make a new version of that is the most appealing and that is the most timeless. Yeah. And that's our argument is that motorcycles, there is an idea of motorcycle that's like the perfect idea of motorcycle, kind of like maybe you can even say a platonic ideal of motorcycle. And the faster and the more technology and the, all these other things, that's the water that you need to boil off. Now, part of I'm sure an MV is that they were, for their era, relatively powerful, fast, thrilling. But if you start studying it and you start studying those precedents, you start understanding that which one of those which has more importance or more significance to that thing. And so, and the same thing with like the Halcyon model. Like what about this type of motorcycle is timeless and like perfect? And how do we, instead of just adding more water and watering it down, right? Or maybe, I don't know what kind of adding flavors,
right? Like adding flavors,
like honey flavored whiskey
for flavor's sake.
No, really, like,
not for like for to be added.
We're gonna add some like little flakes of gold,
right,
to this whiskey, and make it. That's a distraction. And what we're trying to do is figure out, because people in 1920 riding motorcycles were getting just as many thrills as we are now. Yeah. What's the difference? What is the constant? And so when you start doing that, then that helps you make the right, because I think one way of looking at what design is just narrowing down your options. A lot of things are that way, actually. Yeah. It's just we have so many options, especially today. Yeah. That it's hard to select which one you want. And then from there, it's how do you make that how can you apply that to to the present day in a way that makes sense? And that always involves a compromise. Yeah. And to me, if I go back and look at our designs,
I was about to ask.
It's the places where we've compromised where our design is the most evident.
Can you give me an example of one of those?
The Halcyon 450, no, the Halcyon fuel tank
Yeah.
is a classic example of a major compromise, because we were looking at Brough Superior tanks, and we were looking at Triumph tanks, and we were looking at all these, like, and lots of them are very lovely, curvaceous tanks. And we did not have at that time, and I would say probably still, the ability to do that. The cost of a big stamping die, I mean, you're talking tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we had to figure out a way to form that on a brake press in an Amish shop running off of a diesel generator.
Right.
Out of aluminum. And so, and then one of the things we did was originally they had a flat top. And so they were deforming. If you've been to our shop, I probably told you this story. They were deforming, we were started off with steel. And they were 20+ pound tanks of steel. And they were just the heat. There's a lot of welding that goes into every single fuel tank we make. Yeah. They're very expensive to make. And so we thought, we'll move to aluminum, because aluminum dissipates heat faster. And it does. It really helped, but they were still buckling in the middle of the tank. And if you put your elbow on it, it could bend. Yeah. So the Amish guy, Leroy, who runs the shop, said, well, what if you thought about putting a V brake in it down the top, and that would help with the deformation, because you put a brake in something, it makes it very, very rigid. So we did. It worked. Gradually, I kind of started falling in love with the look. Yeah. And then later on, I always tell the story. We went back into his shop, and he also makes like brush hogs, like really utilitarian equipment. And one of the brush hogs has this big like fairing on the front that covers the blades, and it has this V brake down it. I said, Leroy, is that where you got the idea? He goes, that's right. And there you go. And I can tell you many, many, many similar examples of where the compromise, and in some way, maybe you could say that the compromise is where the individuality, the uniqueness of design. Because if we all were just trying to make the absolute perfect motorcycle, then maybe they would all become more and more and more the same. Similar, yeah. But because we live in a world where nothing is absolutely perfect, and there's always some kind of need for it to be mitigated with reality, that's where we find the quirks and the beauty and the things that make things special. So, so as far as a design process, I would say precedence, trying to find the universal, and then the compromises. And the compromises are always, I actually have the most fun with the compromises, because sometimes you don't want to make the compromise. You're like, okay, we cannot do, I will tell people, like the sales team, like, we are not doing that. We're not going to use disc brakes. We only use drum brake. No. Okay. We're not going to make road going bikes. Richard. But anyway, the compromises, I think learning how to make really good compromises that are actually what make your bikes unique. Because I would say that tank is probably one of the most Janus recognizable things we've ever done. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting that requires you to make a decision, right? It's no longer about taste. It's some of it's not your call, right? You're having to to bend to reality. Yeah. It's crazy. It's really true. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, I think that's super cool. And we've had to compromise more than other companies, because we have such a limited budget. Right. It's actually forced us to compromise more on a lot of things, not quality. Right. But we compromise on like mostly our design decisions and stuff like that, where it's like, we're going to have braided stainless brake lines, but I don't know. I have to make I'm trying to figure out an example. Like we have to use, I don't know. You'll think of one. Some kind of a compromise like that. I think there's a saying that the best design happens not in an open world, but in a constrained world. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. When you have constraints, that's the only place design can happen. And you have parameters that you have to follow. Like that's when you can make the most informed decisions about what the thing looks like. And that, maybe we can round it out with that. That is the classical tradition of design in a nutshell, is working within a set of parameters. Like my training in architecture is like the most obvious would be the 5 architectural orders. I don't know if you're familiar with Doric, Ionic, Corinthian, Composite. And then of course you got Tuscan down at the bottom, but right. If you constrain yourself within one of those orders to design, some people will say, oh, well, you're just you're limiting yourself, or it's just like this, everything's going to look the same. Well, actually, in order to actually follow those rules is literally impossible there's always a condition where it doesn't work. And so you have to kind of compromise and make a cool thing. And that's where it gets fun.
Right. Cause
that's where it gets beautiful.
This is unique to me. This is unique
or to this specific
to us, or this is unique to this I don't know, this particular vehicle for design, right? Like,
and in architecture, that's called decorum or decor. So that's where, like when we talk about the decor of a room, it's actually it's how the rules of design have to be, how they meet the circumstances, or how they're appropriate for one place versus another place. Like one set of rules, like a Halcyon cruiser set of rules, doesn't work in the sport bike,
right?
Or kind of more sport oriented. What was the word? I don't know. Yeah, sport oriented, spirited riding context.
Right.
And it would be incongruous in that context.
And it's unfair to compare one experience to another, because
it just doesn't make sense.
Both vehicles are not.
Right.
They're both designed completely for different reasons, for different purposes, for different things.
And you can tell when you look at it.
Yeah.
Or when you ride it.
Yeah. We probably could have gone for another 30 minutes, honestly.
There you go.
But,
should we round it out?
Yeah.
Any last comments on
this segment, Richard, has been brought to you by Janus Motorcycles. What kind of stuff we got going at Janus Motorcycles right now, Richard? What are some of our
thanks for the prompt.
Yes.
We have some really great savings we're offering. $1,000 off of 450, off all 450s plus free shipping, $500 off of 250s plus free shipping, and we have 2 beautiful used bikes for sale on our website. Check out the website under inventory, and we are accepting trade-in quotes on anything from a Halcyon 50 to a Harley Fat Boy. So if you have a bike that you want to trade in for a Janus, give us a call or an email, and we're happy to see what we can do for you.
There you go. We got any final comments here?
Janus Jazz is the name for the next model.
The Janus Jazz. Where's that at? Oh, here. Yeah, Gary. I like that. I'm here for that.
What was the comment about jazz? Go back. Grant said, "I'm in, Gary. That's jazz."
Where's Gary here? Here we go.
He says, just like great musicians, yes, this is a wonderful example, that it's the notes you don't play that are just as important as the notes you do play. Janus, it's the parts you don't add on that are just as important as the ones you do. And I think that jazz is absolutely beautiful because of the way that it breaks the rules.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it in so doing, it says that they're still there.
Right. Right. It's like these still exist.
Yep.
That's jazz, baby.
Thanks, Gary.
Great
Great comment. Okay, I think we should round it out.
Yes, I think we should.
All right, folks, this has been a really fun episode. I hope that all the technology has been working. So when I go back and listen to this, I did go back. I don't usually listen to these after the fact, but last week I did, just to make sure the audio was good, that everything worked out. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. It actually really has. These have been getting really fun.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward next week for Ramblestream number 75. We will post what it's going to be about when we figure it out. Thanks a lot.
Monday, Friday, maybe. Today's
We'll
Monday.
talk to you then.
On Friday.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.